Today's story is quite different from others you might have seen. It's about a man whose wife died a year ago. One day he suddenly receives a phone call from his wife, but the strange thing is, she's calling from 1 year in the past. Yes, the call is coming from a time before she died. Since this man now knows exactly how his wife will die, he tries to save her. But by changing what happened in the past, the present timeline starts to change and become chaotic. It's similar to what happens in Marvel movies or the Loki series, where messing with time causes unexpected problems. So what will happen next? Let's begin the movie. At the start, we see a man who leads a labor union. Some people are attacking him very badly. At the same time, someone secretly records a video of this incident. It turns out a local political leader is behind the attack and wants the labor union leader killed. Meanwhile, on the news, we learn that because of a solar flare, mobile phones and satellite signals might stop working. A solar flare happens due to a magnetic disturbance on the sun. This causes sunlight to become stronger than usual. But in reality, solar flares don't usually disrupt communication. It's just shown that way in the movie. Moving on, we come to the home of a man named John. John is a lawyer. Unfortunately, his wife Rose has been killed. The police are at his house, asking John what exactly happened. The scene then changes to daytime, where Rose hands John a note. The note says that Koj has threatened to kill her, but when John reads the note, he doesn't seem worried at all. He tells Rose that in his line of work, he will always get threats like this. He says a lawyer can't make everyone happy. Then Rose asks John to come home early that evening because she wants to go out for dinner with him. It has been 14 years since they got married, and they have a daughter named Angela. Angela has to leave the city today for a competition. Rose is also a doctor. When John reaches his office, Rose calls him asking about the car keys. John quickly ends the call saying, "They must be somewhere there. Just find them." After this, John goes to meet his informer, Christine. She has the video showing the labor union leader being beaten by the same political leader. John's junior lawyer, Kim, is working on that case, so John asks Christine for the video. But she doesn't give the video right away. Instead, she gives John a photo as proof and says the video will be sent to his house by evening. When John returns, he puts the photo in an envelope to give it to Kim later. Also, John has recently been promoted at the law firm where he works. To celebrate, he goes to a party with his coworkers. He tells Rose that he will be late for dinner because of a meeting and sends her a message saying so. Rose feels sad, but John enjoys the party. Before the party, John gives the envelope with the photo to Kim and says, "Tomorrow is your birthday, so this is your gift. Open it at midnight." John also tells his friend Alex about the video. Meanwhile, Rose calls John again, saying she has hit a car. But this time, John doesn't answer her call and even switches off his phone. One evening, Rose returns home around 6 p.m. Within just an hour, someone breaks into her house and kills her. At the same time, John is stuck in traffic because of heavy rain. The taxi driver asks him to get out of the car. While getting out, John drops his wallet. He bends down to pick it up and then starts walking toward his house. But when he arrives, he finds his wife's lifeless body. Now, friends, I'm telling you these small details because they will become important later. The police tell John that Rose was murdered between 6:40 and 7 p.m. They think it was a robbery gone wrong. CCTV footage shows an empty van near John's house during that time. The van's number might have been caught on John's car dash cam, but the murderer removed the dash cam to destroy any evidence. Meanwhile, their daughter Angela comes home. When she learns about her mother's death, she hugs John and cries a lot. A whole year passes, but the police still haven't found Rose's killer. John has quit his job during this time, but with encouragement from his friend, he starts working again because Angela is the only reason he wants to live. For her sake, John knows he must keep going, even if he doesn't want to. John also blames himself for Rose's death. He believes that if he hadn't ignored her calls that day, she might still be alive. The next morning, John gets ready to go to work after dropping Angela at school. Suddenly, he gets a call. To his shock, the caller ID shows it's Rose calling. John is confused and scared. How is this possible if Rose is already dead? When he answers, it really is Rose on the other end, asking him about the car keys. John thinks someone is playing a cruel joke on him. He looks around but sees no one. Rose tells John things only they would know, private details from their life together. This convinces John that it really is Rose calling. John asks her where she is right now. Rose replies with the date, the very day she was murdered 1 year ago. John doesn't question how this is happening. Instead, he sees a chance to save her. But before he can say more, the call suddenly disconnects. At that moment, the news reports a solar flare happening again, just like it did 1 year ago. Maybe this solar flare is why Rose, who died in the past, can now talk to John in the present. If John can save her this time, his family will be whole again, and what happened before will never happen. However, John cannot call Rose himself. Only she can call him, so he waits, wondering when she will call again. After some time, his phone rings again. Rose calls once more. John asks her the date and time. The date is from 1 year ago, but the time matches the current moment exactly. John tells Rose, no matter what happens, don't go home. Don't leave the hospital either. On your way, you'll be hit by a car, causing a dent on the front of the car. This is something John remembers clearly because the dent is still on his car today. Rose has to leave the hospital quickly due to an emergency, so she ends the call. As she drives, Angela calls her. While talking, suddenly a car appears in front of Rose's vehicle. Remembering John's warning, she stops her car to avoid hitting it. But then, the other driver hits Rose's car from behind. This accident moves the dent on John's car from the front to the back. This shows that changes made in the past affect the present. However, only John remembers these changes. Even John's friend, who knew about the original dent on the front, confirms that the dent is now on the back of the car. This means that although the timeline is changing, the changes are only clear to John. Everyone else around John doesn't realize what's happening. Because of the changes in the past, people's old memories are being erased, and new memories are forming instead. But only John remembers the original timeline clearly. Now John has no choice but to go home and wait anxiously. At 6:30 p.m., Rose calls him again. She asks, "How did you know about the accident?" John then tells her everything, that he is calling from the future. He warns her that a thief is going to break into their house today and try to kill her. He tells Rose to leave the house immediately for her safety. At first, Rose doesn't understand what John is talking about. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. John tells Rose not to open the door, warning her that it might be a murderer. Rose listens to him and doesn't open the door. But then the doorbell rings again. This time, when Rose looks outside, she sees a man wearing a mask standing there. Right at that moment, the lights in the house go out unexpectedly. The masked man breaks into the house. John is still on the phone with Rose while this is happening. The man tries to attack Rose. During this tense moment, John sees the events changing in real time in front of him as the timeline shifts. Luckily, Rose manages to escape from the attacker. She runs away and reaches the police station for help. John also arrives at the police station and asks about the case involving his wife. To his surprise, the police tell him that no such murder case was ever reported from a year ago. Hearing this, John feels very happy and hopeful. He believes that he has successfully saved Rose by changing the past. The police check Rose's house but don't find any signs of a break-in or theft. Feeling confident, they leave after completing their search. Now Rose believes John's story and trusts that he is telling the truth. She calls John again, and he is overjoyed knowing that the past has been changed. Rose asks John, "Do you know who that man was who tried to attack me?" John replies, "The police have not been able to find him yet." Then John remembers that the dash cam on their car should have recorded the van's number plate that the attacker used. He asks Rose to check the dash cam footage. After looking at it, Rose tells John the number of the van. Just then, the battery on John's phone dies, and the phone switches off. John begins charging his phone at the police station, hoping to continue their investigation soon. A detective arrives at Rose's place to follow up on her complaint and to inspect the house. He introduces himself as Robert, but here's the twist. Robert is actually the same man who had tried to kill Rose before. The next day, John calls Christine and gives her the van's number. He asks her to find out the name and address of the man who owns the van. Christine replies, "You're still chasing this case? It happened a year ago. Maybe it's time to let it go and move on." Hearing this, John feels like the ground has disappeared beneath him. No matter how much he tried to change the past, his wife still died. He couldn't save her. Meanwhile, Rose tells Robert about the strange phone call she received from John, her husband calling from the future after 1 year. Robert asks Rose to call John. When she does, John warns her, "Your death hasn't been prevented yet. The danger is still coming." Rose tells John that there is a detective with her who wants to speak to him. John talks to Robert and explains everything about the timeline and the calls, but Robert doesn't believe any of it and suddenly cuts off the phone. Then Rose realizes something strange. She never told Robert John's name, yet Robert already knows it. This makes her understand that Robert is not really a detective, but the killer who came to finish the job. Rose says to Robert, "I forgot something in my car. I'll be right back." She gets into the car and tries to drive away, but Robert attacks her. In that moment, Rose manages to get a small spark device and stabs Robert in the face with it. Robert retaliates by stabbing her in the leg with a knife. Despite the pain, Rose starts the car and drives away, narrowly escaping from Robert's attack. Meanwhile, Christine calls John and tells him that the van's number belongs to a man named Robert. She also shares Robert's home address with John, but suddenly something strange happens. John sees that his own name and face are on the police's wanted list. He's being accused of killing his wife and running away. At the same time, John's appearance changes and new memories start to appear in his mind. He remembers that in the past, Robert actually killed Rose and planted evidence to frame John. Because of this, John got trapped and arrested. Now John is sitting inside a police station when officers try to arrest him again. But John fights back and manages to escape. Meanwhile, Rose reaches the hospital and gets stitches for her injured leg. The police are searching everywhere for John. Meanwhile, John arrives at Robert's house but find that he is not there. He searched the entire house and discover a dash cam and an envelope, items that John had given to his junior, Kim, in the past. John takes these things with him. After John escapes, a police officer named James starts working on the case. James is confused about why a wanted man would come to the police station just to charge his phone. On the other hand, the police find out through CCTV footage that John was at Robert's house. They rush there immediately. When Robert learns this, he realizes John has taken the dash cam. Worried, Robert asks for help from his old boss, Benjamin, the same local political leader who had brutally beaten the head of the labor union. Robert used to work for Benjamin. He killed Rose because she had seen his face and knew the truth. Now, since Robert has a daughter, he doesn't want to cause more trouble. So he returns to his old job to find John, get back the dash cam, and kill John to end the story once and for all. We then see John talking to his daughter Angela from a public phone booth. This change happened because John had told Angela about Rose's death, and since then, he hasn't spoken to her. He went into hiding because of the accusation against him. John tells Angela, "I did not kill Rose, your mother," and apologizes for not being in touch all this time. However, the police, having traced John's location during this call, arrive at the scene along with Angela, hoping to catch John. John spots them and also sees Kim nearby, who is being targeted by some people trying to kill her. Seeing this, John immediately starts chasing after Kim. Meanwhile, the police are searching everywhere for John. John manages to save Kim from the attackers, who likely were sent by Benjamin. He grabs Kim and asks her about the envelope he gave her on her birthday a year ago. Kim explains that she couldn't use the envelope as proof at that time because it only contained a blurry photo, not the video showing Benjamin's face clearly. Without the video, it was almost impossible to prove anything. While John and Kim are talking, the police suddenly arrive nearby. John has to run away quickly. After a long chase, the police manage to surround John on all sides. Seeing no way out, John jumps into the water and swims away, escaping from the police. Unfortunately, the envelope and dash cam fall from John's hands into the water and are lost. Later, John walks through a deserted street where Angela sees him passing by. At that moment, John receives a call from Rose. He tells her, "Remember if any letter or envelope might have come to you in the mailbox." Before they can continue talking, Robert appears and snatches the phone from John. Robert speaks to Rose on the phone. Robert remembers that a year ago he had spoken with John from the future, and now he's talking to Rose, who died in the past. Though he doesn't believe it, all this is actually happening. Now, knowing everything about the connection between past and present, Robert decides to kill John to end the story once and for all. At the same time, Officer James arrives, and Robert gets scared upon seeing him. When James returns to try and catch John again, he attempts to run, but Angela arrives and stops James. She does this to give her father, John, a chance to escape safely. The police find the envelope in the water and call Benjamin in for questioning. Although the dash cam was damaged in the water and is unusable, the envelope still gives them a lead. Benjamin meets with Robert and orders him to kill John as soon as possible, before the police catch him. To make sure the job gets done, one of Benjamin's men is assigned to stay with Robert constantly until John is dead. Robert doesn't like having someone watching him all the time, but he can't refuse. Meanwhile, Robert had broken John's phone earlier, so John goes to Christine to get it fixed. Christine repairs the phone, and right after, John gets a call from Rose. She tells him that she found an envelope in the mailbox and has taken it home. She says she's going to get it. John warns her, "No, don't go anywhere. He can kill you." He explains that Robert has framed him for Rose's murder, but Rose says she has Robert's knife, the one he used to stab her in the leg. She's hiding it safely in the hospital where no one will find it. She asks John to go get the knife because it could clear his name. John agrees and heads to the hospital to get the knife. At the same time, he calls his friend Alex and tells him everything. Unknown to John, Alex is actually connected to Robert and works for Benjamin. Alex sends a message to Robert, letting him know that John is at the hospital. John told Alex about his plan so that if anything happens to him, Alex can look after his daughter Angela. But John doesn't realize that Alex is not a friend. He's an enemy. After John picks up the knife from the hospital, he drives to the basement parking. Robert arrives there too. This time, John is prepared. He has a rifle and shoots at the switch controlling the basement door. The door starts closing, trapping Robert inside. John manages to escape just before the door shuts completely. Before leaving, John shows Robert the knife and says, "Your game ends now." While this is happening, Benjamin's man tries to kill Robert. He fears that if Robert is caught, Benjamin's secrets will come out. Robert fights back and manages to kill the attacker, but he is seriously injured, stabbed in the stomach. Meanwhile, Rose is heading toward the house to get the envelope, but when she arrives outside, she sees Robert nearby. He's been searching for her. Quickly, she hides to avoid being caught. At that moment, Rose gets a call from John, but it's the John from her own time, who is stuck in a taxi in the rain. This shows that the future John isn't there yet. She asks him where he is and looks around for him. Then the scene repeats. John's wallet falls, and when he bends down to pick it up, Rose can't see him because of this delay. Suddenly, Robert appears in front of John. He disconnected John's phone, then tied up Rose's hands and mouth. Robert takes Rose back to the house, hoping to find the envelope, the pen drive with the video that can expose Benjamin. Rose tricks Robert by telling him the envelope is upstairs in a room. While Robert goes upstairs to search, he ties Rose up. In the future timeline, Robert arrives at John's house and kidnaps Angela. He calls John, demanding that John come to him. Alex is there with Robert and warns him not to harm Angela, but Robert kills Alex anyway. When John arrives, he distracts Robert and attacks him, knocking him unconscious. John quickly frees his daughter. However, Robert wakes up and a fierce fight breaks out between him and John. Following John's instructions, Angela runs upstairs. Robert stabs John during the fight, then goes after Angela. Meanwhile, back in the past, Rose manages to free herself and hides with the envelope. When Robert comes downstairs, Rose attacks him. Robert tries to kill Rose by strangling her, but John arrives just in time and kills Robert from behind. Rose is saved. Because of these changes in the past, the future timeline shifts completely. John's mind fills with new, happy memories of the last year. When he wakes up, he sees both his wife and daughter are safe and well. He also remembers clearly how he changed everything and brought Rose back to life. Benjamin is punished because of the video evidence. John is overjoyed with his new life. And friends, we will also be happy if you subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video. If you like this video, please subscribe. If you like the explanation, give us a like and subscribe. See you next time. Until then, goodbye, take care, and thanks for watching.